Hello and good evening, everyone. John Henry Soto here, along with George Batista, coming to you live. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. George is in upstate New York. And we are very happy that you're here with us this evening because it's a big evening for us. Announcements and different directions, but not really different directions, just in a different maybe a different coding of directions, but it's going to be a wonderful experience to share with you of what's currently happening. And it's one of the things that George and I do is we put ourselves out there. You know, we bring our audience into our lives and we share what's going on in our lives with you. So we're doing all of that on this episode here of Counterparts, and we're excited to have you here. So please come on back. Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. As George and I always say, we appreciate you spending the time with us. We understand that there's a lot of distractions out there and a lot of things that you can be doing other than spending it with us here. But if you're here with us, it means the world to us, and we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts that you're here, and we love you for that. So thank you. We have a lot to talk about this evening. We're going to try to get as much in as we possibly can in this episode and in future episodes. We're going to be talking about what George and I have been talking about for the last year, I guess, even maybe more than a year. We've been talking about this artist blueprint that we've been working on and putting together, and it's it's been a hell of a ride. It's been an education for us, and we've learned more about ourselves than anything else, I think. And having been able to do that, I think we've been able to harness that education and be able to put it into this blueprint to help artists and to help others in on their journey. So I think it's very exciting to do that. How you doing, George?
I'm the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, baby. Come on, we're ready to go.
All right, now you're arrested. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
macho
Cup of
man.
coffee, cup of coffee. Have you seen that clip? It's like they have a. He's like, "Oh, just get a cup of coffee. Cup of coffee. Get a cup of coffee. Oh
What a
yeah."
person! You know, it's amazing those personalities that they make, right?
Man, I love it. Love it. Yeah. So great, great. We're both excited and energized to be here this evening, and we're gonna start the conversation. I guess first of all, we're gonna do our sponsor. As soon as we do our sponsor, we're going to discuss the discussion that we will be discussing this evening.
We're gonna discuss the best practices of discussing
At
something.
the end of the day. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Remember up?
Oh,
Just having fun. All right. So yes, the Counterpart Show is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family-owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. Find out why they are not only my favorite supplements, but the supplements of the favorite supplements of many people all around the world. Make sure you check them out at myvitaminresource.com. And as our listeners and viewers, as always, if you enter the promo code Counterparts at checkout, you will get free shipping on your order. And on top of that, don't forget that every month they have a monthly special. And this month is 25% off their immune supplements. Again, this will last only to the end of November, and we're all going to need it, especially after Thanksgiving, because our immune system is going to be in the tank from eating so much, and then we're all going to get sick, so we need immune supplements. So, so again, check them out at myvitaminresource.com.
do it. Yeah, I know. I've been good the last few years, just in general. Like even if somebody invites me to like a barbecue, and in the last 10 years,
Right.
it's like barbecues are like so ridiculous. Like 4th of July, everybody has a barbecue, which is first of all, it's cliche to begin with. Pamela gets mad at me, my wife, because I am against so many things.
Unpatriotic, John. How dare you?
Yeah, I love but that has nothing to do with patriotism. You know what I mean? Like four types of meat being cooked outside, nothing to do with patriotism. You know what I mean?
John,
It's
this is
like
the
I'm
American
patriotic.
dream.
You know, it's like it's just the idea of the force of that. This is what you do. You know, it's this uniform thing that we've been all put on. And then Fourth of July, you know, don't get me started on this one because it's there's so many. The only holidays that I think actually should exist are you know that I mean that are accepted by everyone, right? You know that accepted are Christmas because it's worldwide, and I like Jesus, and I think that that's an appropriate holiday to celebrate.
Really, John?
Yeah, Christmas.
It's there's a lot
Everything
of
else,
it's all marketing.
everything. Yeah, Christmas is. You're right. It's all marketing, and it's been perverted to like nothing now. You know what I mean? People don't even think about it. But what I'm
But
saying is the idea, the
mm,
reason behind it, I
mm,
think is acceptable, right?
okay.
And your kids' birthdays. I celebrate those. I like my kids' birthdays. I don't celebrate my birthday, my wife's birthday. You know, if I celebrate, you know, and those aren't national holidays. Those are just things that are holiday. But when you talk to me about, you know, Thanksgiving, it's the turkey, it's the stuffing, it's the green beans, it's the same. It's the cranberry sauce, the pumpkin pie. Everybody gets excited during October because pumpkin spice is coming back to Starbucks. I'm like, don't you know that you can purchase pumpkin spice year round? Every day you can have it and you can inject it into your neck if you feel like you really need it that badly. You got to wait to October to get so jazzed up. And then there's New Year's. You know, don't get me started about New Year's. I mean, do you think about it for a second? I was just listening to Pete Holmes, a funny comedian. He made a good point about don't you know that today is also a year ago? Today is also a day you can celebrate.
That's
Today is actually another anniversary of last year today. We
that's
can
John
celebrate
Henry
today.
Soto at
We can
protonmail.com for
celebrate
the hate
today. But
mail.
no, we wait till this one arbitrary day that was agreed upon. And then everyone, what do they do for January 1st? What do they write? Come on. You know what they write, right? They write
Resolution.
they write down their resolutions this year, and it's just what Pete Holmes said right in the beginning. All they're doing is stop, and then they're just writing stop something, stop. It's like everything just followed by the word stop. I mean, it's like, and then I know this from a fitness point because I worked in the fitness industry for a long time, and while I was there, January 1st, the
Memberships go way up,
numbers
right?
already up, and then come March,
They go down.
April,
Yeah,
May,
that's true.
the
Very
numbers
true.
went down.
Very true.
Because it's arbitrary. It's like why shouldn't we be healthy year round? Well, I don't think they want us to be healthy. What are we talking about?
Well, may I say though, I agree with a lot of what you said. Okay, except that, by the way, this was not what this show was about, but we
No,
figured
this
we
is
just
has
we
nothing
just
to
we,
do.
this is really what
This
would
is
happen.
actually
Like,
more of what the show
well,
is about.
yeah, really. This is John and I talking either before or after the show. This is exactly what would
This,
happen.
this is how it
But
goes on. Yeah, you're
but
right.
I only
Sometimes we say to ourselves, "This should be the show."
exactly. I love Thanksgiving. Probably my favorite holiday.
Ugh.
The only forget about the turkey stuff. I don't care about the turkey stuff. I just love it from the idea of getting together with
If,
friends and family and eating a lot of food. Okay, that is like my favorite thing to do because I love good food and having friends and family around the table and hanging out and joking and laughing and
yeah,
all that.
you know,
That's my thing.
yeah, you could do that all at any time.
True,
You can also
but
give thanks daily. I like to give thanks daily. I
true,
don't want to wait for the fourth Thursday of
true.
November to give thanks. Like the rest of the year, I'm like, I don't give a crap about nothing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is John Soto. This is Unplugged John Soto.
Anyway,
Yes, go ahead.
so we have
And
an
another
amazing.
thing. Oh,
And one more thing. Don't get me started on Flag Day. I love our flag. I would rather do Flag Day
Fun
Yeah,
with flags.
yeah. I like flags. I like it's our American flag. We have one right there or down
So
there.
you,
It's
what about
American.
parades? You don't like
And right
parades?
there we have our Puerto Rican flag, huh?
You don't like parades?
Don't get me started about parades. What is this? Just follow the leader. It's just somebody ahead. Let's close down and screw up traffic, and let's all walk down this road with a bunch of stuff, and just have people come and stand there and go.
Ah,
And, but the thing is, it's fine. I've been to all of the things. I've been to the Macy's Day Parade, and I don't mean that I just been there to as a no. I was in huge parades as well. I've also gone where you pay, you get a
and they
ticket.
saw you? They actually saw you?
Yeah, they saw me. I was in the front, and I was there in the parade, and it was great. But I did it the following year. If you take footage from 2 years to no the pandemic and all that stuff, if you take footage from like 5 years ago, and you footage from the Macy's Day Parade, and you show it today, and you say this is today's parade, I don't think anyone is gonna look at it and be like, "Wait a minute, that's from 5 years ago.
That's true.
That's from 5 years. Wait a minute, I don't remember Santa wearing that cut."
Hold it. There's two new balloons.
Yeah, yeah. The only if and I'm sure that there are people out there that are like obsessed with the parade and they're involved in it, and maybe they even work for it and they know what balloons are going to be there. That's a
That's
different
true.
story, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the majority of the people, the millions of people that watch it on TV for 10 minutes, and they're like, "Oh, oh, here comes Santa. Santa's at the end. He's not there." And at the end of every single thing. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about the about wow,
Wow.
100%, baby. This is what we do with two Puerto Rican from the Bronx. So here's what happened to in the conversation that I've had in last couple of weeks with Brian Pierce. Now, Brian Pierce, for those of you who don't know, Brian Pierce is the deputy executive director of right there, JHS Talent Management, and he is incredible at managing things that I don't understand. So he does a lot of stuff with the banking and all the paperwork and the lawyers and all the legal stuff and everything that we've had to do to really to build this thing and to get it to where it is now. um, he does that. So we were having a conversation, and we have meetings every Sunday night. We have like a staff meeting, and it's just him and me. It's an executive staff meeting, right? Just us two. And so we're talking and stuff. And I was showing him a video because I wanted to show him one of our guests had said something. It was a quote that we always loved,
Right.
and I wanted to share with him the the quote. So I pulled up one of the videos of that George and I did from Counterparts of some of the incredible guests that we've had on the show, and I played for him this video, which I think is what is it, George? Like a minute and a half, maybe,
Yeah, maybe two at the
like
most.
that. And it's just a series of some of the guests and talking about really positive things about motivational things and stuff that we talk about here on the show. And I showed him this clip, waiting for the guest to come out and to actually give the. And he's looking at this, and we talked about the quote, and then he's like, "What are you doing with this video? Where do you put this video?" And I was like, "Well, I just put it on Instagram and it's on Facebook." Did you pay any money to get it boosted or anything? That you sharing? No, we have not done that. And he's like, "Well, this is great. I didn't even know that you had these people on the show, these legends on the show. It's like, why aren't you promoting this better? And of course, I'm sort of like, well, I did a Facebook page post. We talk about it.
Instagram.
Yeah, we put on Instagram and we talk about it in stories. And it was sort of like, and then he starts talking about, and then he mentions, you guys talk about the artist blueprint all the time, and we start talking about the word counterparts, right? And now, you know, just to understand why we call the show counterparts, just to give you a little context into that, George and I started this show. Basically, George just sent me a text. We're here today because he texted me and he said, "Hey, we should do a podcast and talk about stuff that we used to talk about when we were growing up. George and I are cousins. We grew up together. We played in the band together. We known each other our whole
And
life."
keep in mind, because John had his own show at the time before that, and John had invited me a few times to be on that show to
Oh,
talk
that's
about
right. That's
health.
right. Correct.
Right. And then that's kind of what was the
Right.
genesis of that whole
Right. 'Cause we
thing.
had a great conversation. We talked about
Yes.
health, and he was on the show. I can't remember what I called it. I think I called it JHS interviews or something.
Yes.
And so that was great. I did 130 something episodes of that, and it was super a lot of fun. And then he said to me, he said, why don't we do something? And I was like, oh man, I mean, George and I, we get along. We have the same sensibility, comedic sensibilities. We love the same kind of music, health and fitness and all that stuff. And I thought that'd be a kind of a cool thing. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So what can we talk about? So we talked a lot about, well, we like Star Trek. We're both Star Trek nerds. We like music, obviously. We like Bob Ross on PBS, the painter. We used to watch PBS shows, the cooking shows. We grew up together, so we did all this geeky stuff, growing up and listening to Rush and all that stuff. So we said, okay, well, we're gonna talk about Star Trek. Let's talk about Star. Let's do a show on Star Trek because we know so much about it. We could do the episodes, we could do the movies, we can do the different spin-offs, we could do all this stuff. There's so much content. So I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we said, yeah. So I said, all right. So what are we gonna call it? So okay, well, we started thinking about Star Trek names and names of certain things, and then we love the band Rush, right? We're both Rush fans. We've been to a lot of their concerts, and we've been following that band for a long time, since
Hmm.
the late '80s, and we love the band. So we thought their albums. So we weren't going to call it like Moving Pictures or Presto or one of those albums that are great, Roll the Bones.
Yeah.
So we thought counterparts, and we were just throwing around names, and I thought, oh, counterpart, that sounds kind of interesting. So that's the simplicity of it. We just named it after an album by Rush called Counterparts, a great album, by the way.
Yes.
And it was, and then that kind of started our Star Trek thing. And the tagline for Star Trek was building a bridge between Star Trek and everything else. And the reason was that because we would take Star Trek, we would take the positive messages in Star Trek, and then we would relate it to real life things, which I thought was a great idea for a
Yeah.
show. I still think it's a great idea for a show. But the
Agreed.
problem was that George and I could not stick to the script. So we'd go off and we start talking about life things, and we start talking about our experiences and stuff like that. And we forget that we're talking about an episode of Star Trek, or we're talking about a movie, or, we always talk about it as well, but we kind of broke away. And then we had a couple of guests that were in episodes of Star Trek and some of in the movies and stuff. And we started interviewing them. And as we were interviewing them, we would go into other, being an artist and the struggles of auditioning and getting into movies and all that stuff. And we would go into that, and it was always like the artist for us. It was always like we always just kept going back to artists, and it was sort of like we couldn't find ourselves, even though it was right in front of our face. It was right in front of our faces, and we could not find what was our direction. And then Brian Pierce made that kind of he was like, you always talking about this artist's blueprint that you guys talking. I love that. He goes, and you're always helping artists, and you're always talking about the struggles of artists and health and fitness, and then we're doing this JHS talent management, which I talk a lot about having I created these 4 phases where we run our artists through these 4 phases to make sure that they're handled wholly. We want to address the whole artist, and that's holistically, as much as we can help the artist. So he loved all that. So then, as he's talking, my brain is getting fried because I'm thinking to myself, God, he's right. Like, we have this, all these amazing guests. We've already done it. We've already done so many shows, right? Hundreds of shows, really, when you think about it, between what George has done and what I've done. If you put them together, hundreds and hundreds of shows that we've done, with interviews and with all this amazing information. But the packaging, we felt that it wasn't addressing the actual, like, if somebody read Counterparts, they're not going to know what our show is about.
Right.
Two Puerto Ricans from the Bronx. Well, what does that mean? It's just two Puerto Ricans from the Bronx. It doesn't mean anything. So anyway, this conversation with Brian Pierce, it's all his fault. Really enlightened me, so a few days later, I sat down with George, and I told him as best as I could articulate it, what Brian was telling me, and pointing out these certain things. And then George, you can talk now about what it did for you.
It tickled me in a place that I cannot talk about.
He was tickled in places that he cannot talk about. Think about that for a second.
So yeah, so John mentioned that conversation to me, and I immediately, like, that light bulb was bing, and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, I think you
That,
said it's well. You had a word. I can't remember what the word was, but you said something that was like a revelation. I think you said.
yes, it was a
You were like, that's
revelation.
kind of like a revelation to
It
me.
was a revelation. I was like, he's so right. I was like, he's so right, and it was right in front of us, right there, And I was like, I don't know how I missed that. We were so, like you said, we were struggling to find which direction, what we were doing, the guests, and all this. But when you look back at, again, like you said, these amazing guests that we've had,
Yeah.
and every single one of these conversations, if you, matter of fact, if you take all our shows that we did just with this, and you can package that,
Yeah,
you
the
can make
master class.
a masterclass, a course, a book, a movie, all about how an artist would make it,
Yeah.
and everything about it. Because if you listen to those conversations, and I recommend anyone who hasn't to check those out, you can check out our YouTube page as well. I mean, just amazing things: perseverance and integrity, and overcoming obstacles, and all these and the mindsets of these people, which kind of relates to what John and I have gone through. So we're putting all this together, and it was like a whole new thing.
Yeah, and it was like suddenly within, I think that conversation we spoke maybe an hour.
Hmm.
Within that time, we kind of like had it all done
Yeah.
and all thought out of what we have to actually do. And so, a lot of, we've talked about this. Oops, not that. That's an
That's
album.
important too.
That's an album I'm working on. Music. So we talked about this, which is the healthy artist blueprint, right? So by healthy, we always talked about healthy meaning that, it's not just physical, but it's also mental, spiritually, environment wise,
Right.
having a healthy environment. And I implement that with, JHS talent management and with the artists that I'm working with. And we talk about it here all the time on just individuals in general. So that's part of the, the artist blueprint that we kept talking about, right?
Right.
So we've been writing this and writing it, and we wanted to do a one page, which was a joke because it turned out now it's at 82 pages, and still we're adding stuff to it. And we want to really release it as a real tangible workbook that people can take with them. And right now it's just an electronic, ebook, but we want to make it into a physical book that people can actually take with them and help them actually in situations while they're out in the field, while they're out on the battlefield, getting out there and being able to look at it and feel like they are not alone, because
Right.
that's what this show is really about. It's about, you're not alone as an artist, and we may have different, we may be in different circumstances, but the overcoming a lot of those circumstances are, especially any issues or problems, the overcoming of it is pretty much the same,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
are going through the same kind of thing. So anyway, George and I are going to be transitioning
Oh, we got to use that clip.
I, I hate that we can't even use that word anymore because it is. We are.
Uh,
What's another word for it? I don't know. Give me a somebody. Give me a thesaurus.
no, I think we're growing, and the show
Right.
is
That's a
growing.
much better word. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we are. We're actually growing into the direction where we should be going. We're expanding our reach into areas where we really should be. We're going to be focusing on help that is more aligned with what we want to talk about and not this two Puerto Ricans from the Bronx kind of. We are two Puerto Ricans from the Bronx. That's never going to change. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about that when it comes up. But we don't have anything really to talk about that because we always go into the artist. We
Yeah.
always go into helping artists. It's like a disease that we have where we
Like a
can't help ourselves.
disease.
Like a disease. And that's just the way it is, you know. So anyway, so we are going to be we're growing into that area. We are going to be transferring, and we're going to be starting it right now. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Artist Blueprint. Just like that,
Live,
we
live.
are. Yeah, and we are live, and our website. It's actually going to be active as of probably tonight. I'm gonna change all the links and everything. Yeah, by the end of the night, artistblueprint.live, because the show has always been live, and we're going to continue to do that. We'll do a lot of other things as well. Um, but as of right now, this is our new brand. It's our new platform, and we are not going to change anything from this. This is it's the artist blueprint, and we are going to continue helping artists, and even more so because now we have artists. Artists will duplicate this quickly. Counterparts is just not something that somebody can look at and know exactly what it's about. The artist blueprint is very, very clear, very identifiable. And we have a new opening that we're going to be using starting next week as well. I'll debut it now. It's a very different opening than our little think, thinking, think. I mean, I love salsa music, and I am Puerto Riqueño del Bronx, but I'm also an artist, and I want to help people, and that's really our main purpose.
I love it.
Yes. So, having said all that, that was a mouthful.
Yes, it was.
Um, I want to kind of go over a little bit of what is the artist's blueprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is this whole thing about? So, what we did is we took the word healthy, which we didn't put it into our branding because it's I think artist blueprint addresses the whole artist. We talk about a holistic, it's really lines into a lot of the JHS talent management and the four phases, and basically a holistic approach to the artist, where we're not looking at the artist as just their talent, because we know that their talent is there, but there's so much more to being an artist. You have to the mindset, it's going to be challenged constantly. You're going to be bombarded with negativity. You're going to be bombarded with people who just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
George and I talked about that last week.
Yep.
We have family members and loved ones, people who love us, who just don't get it. And you know what? They never will.
Correct.
They never will, because being an artist is sort of like you can be together, and we always say you're not alone, but
Right.
there is this part of it that although makes you feel a little bit alone in a sense. You're
Yes.
because you are with your thoughts. A creative person is really kind of thinking about what the next step is, and how can this video get more views, and all these things that kind of hit you. That's where you can come in with a team, and you can bounce these ideas off of someone. But there is that moment, we spend a lot of time with ourselves, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's just the way it is, and we have to be able to be comfortable in that space. So the healthy part of it, really comes in, and we'll talk about this thing right here, because this is an important thing. I'll put it back up here just to keep it there. Um, we took the word healthy and we made an acronym out of it, and we have, habits exercise, affinity, lessons, technology, having this, and yes, right? And we did episodes on this already. If you go back to our old episodes, we'll actually be putting those up on our new, with our new artist blueprint information. But you can watch the episodes and what do we mean by habits? I mean, the habits that you have today are going to dictate the future that you have tomorrow. That's just the way life is. Whatever you're doing today is going to affect what you're doing tomorrow. And that can be anything from poor eating habits to poor communication habits, whatever it may be, it's going to dictate where you end up. Exercise is, we talk about two things with the letter E because it's exercise, and also we talk about what was the other word? We had another E word that we use. I mean, mainly it's exercise, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really has a lot to do with moving the body.
Right.
Your experience moving the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your knowing how to properly exercise, when to exercise. It kind of goes into habits as well. You have to make it into a habit of exercising. Affinity is the word affinity means how much you like something. You can have an affinity for for music. You can have an affinity for jazz music. You can have an affinity for pasta, an affinity for a person, an affinity for jazz music, whatever. And affinity, you know, the way we talk about the word affinity here is really how much do you like what you're currently doing? Do you have affinity for when you get up in the morning and where you go to work? Is there a lot of affinity for those that are around you? And you have to really look at that. Lessons, the lessons that you learned are going to be also important because you're building a story, you're building a journey that's going to help others. So like when George and I talk about the lessons that we've learned, those are those are teaching tools. We use our lessons that we've learned, the good ones and the bad ones, as a tool to help others on their journey. Technology. In this world, if you are not up with technology, I don't care what industry you're in, but if you don't know what's going on, you could hate social media. Nobody cares that you hate social media. Social media does not care that you hate social media. The TikTok person that's making $1 million on TikTok does not care that you hate social media. So if you don't want to be on social media, that's totally fine. But if you want to be successful and if you want people to know what you're doing, unfortunately, social media is the newspaper, it's the TV channel, it's the network that we had in years past, and that's where we are now. Technology also has a lot to do with your phones and making videos and the lighting that you use. The ring lights now that are all that are popular now, right? That has some the editing features on your reels and all that stuff. It's all technology. You got to be up on it. You have to at least accept that it exists. Having this is being able to have success. Sometimes artists like the term starving artist is a lie.
Mm.
The term starving artist is created by by suppressive people that want to keep the artist down because there's no reason why an artist should ever starve because they're valuable and their art is needed on this earth more than ever before. People could say, "Oh, the medical community," or they can say whatever. They can say one thing, right? But I think for me, the artist and spirituality, um, um, nutrition. These are the real important things that people need to know about. And having this is being able to have those things. You have to increase your havingness, which means your willingness to accept that you can have things. Don't stop saying you cannot have it. Stop saying, well, maybe if I just do this, I can get a little bit of success. No, think big. Be able to have big. Be able to say to those that you're even nervous to talk about, say, I want this. And yes, it is big, and I'm going to have it. And if they don't see it, then you have to go back to affinity and say, well, why I don't like this person? Why are they around me? Why do I have them around me? You know what I mean? And then you'll learn a lesson, and there's your next teaching tool, right? And then yes is being able to say yes to things, because a lot of times, sometimes, if it's and we have this in our heads, like if it starts raining, like, and we're supposed to be somewhere, I'm almost, sometimes I feel like, oh, I hope they cancel something, like
Yeah.
part of me like wants to like not go
Yeah.
out or say no to something.
Hmm.
Somebody asked me to do something and I know I can do it, I'll say no, because I want to do other things. And sometimes, there are other things that I have to do. I have two kids, I have a job, I also have a businesses. I have a lot of things going on with this show. There's a lot of things going on. But I've been saying yes a lot more lately to stuff. And I tell you, it opens up opportunities. People say, hey, you want to come see me? I just went downtown to go see an artist. And man, I'm so glad I did. But I almost didn't go because parking sucks downtown
Hmm.
Nashville. Parking is expensive and it's hard to drive around downtown Nashville. I took a deep breath. I said, I want to go. I'm going to say yes. And I went. And I had a great time. And I met a great artist. And I met a few other people as well. And I'm so glad I went because I got that experience. But it's saying yes. So that's the last one of the word healthy. And so the artist blueprint is in there. That is what it is. That is the blueprint. And then within each of those things that we talked about, there's a whole world of study. It is like a 4-year college of education that you can get. And like George said earlier, if you go back and you watch our episodes and you go back and you listen to somebody like Oba Babatunde talking about success and talking about failure and overcoming those things. If you go back and you listen to Kenny Aronoff, the legendary drummer, and see how when he was playing with John Cougar Mellencamp, the things that he actually had to overcome. Steve Smith, the drummer for Journey, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Um, Go back and listen to how he persevered and the chances that he took. Lee Haney,
Hmm.
8-time world Mr. Olympia. You go back and you listen to his his amazing. I think he's one of my favorite
Yeah.
conversations was with
Yeah.
Lee Haney because he was
Yes.
like sort of our first
Big.
guy that we idolized growing up as kids,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Oh my god, we can't believe we're gonna talk to Lee Haney," and we actually had a great conversation. He was as great as we wanted him to be. He delivered exactly what we wanted to deliver. Because you meet your hero sometimes, and you think,
Yeah.
"Oh, and I hope that they." And he was exactly that. He was fantastic. And there's others. We had Kevin Eubanks, who's a fantastic guest. He was the musical director for the Tonight Show for 18 years with Jay Leno. What a human being! What an amazing talent! We had who else, George? Give me
We
other names.
had Dee Dee Pfeiffer on,
Dee
the
Pfeiffer,
sister of Michelle Pfeiffer, who has been
who's
on
an
in many TV shows
amazing,
and things.
accomplished actress and
Yeah.
producer and animal lover. Also,
Yep.
she's
Yep.
very inspirational. We had David Sanchez, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or the
Yep.
E Street
The E
Band.
Street Band. Yep.
Bruce Springsteen, E Street Band. He was really great too.
Yeah. Yep.
Such a great, great guy. And one of the things that we got from all this, and it was during these conversations that the artist blueprint really started taking more, uh, getting stronger,
Right.
and becoming an actual thing. Because with each conversation, we kind of was pulling out these
Yes.
golden nuggets, and we were saying
Yes.
to ourselves, man, this is so he did that too, he did that too, she did that too, she did that too. And it's this sort of like this similar kind of mindset that they
Yep.
all had. And we thought, man, this has got to be like a blueprint. There's got to be a way that we can harness all these conversations into one place, so the artist that is out there and wants a place that they can go to where they feel like they're understood, that they can get these golden nuggets and really feel like they can go out and apply them quickly. There's got to be something, and it's the artist blueprint. And George and I have been putting this together, and we're super excited that we are now officially um, on the right journey. I feel it's scary, but it feels right.
Correct. Correct.
It feels like it's the right thing to do. I struggled with counterparts, and you and I struggled with counterparts, right? I mean,
Hmm.
for a long time, we were like trying to figure out, like, well, what does the word counterparts mean? Was, it's something that's like something else. Okay, well, that's kind of cool, but it's so difficult to just keep communicating that, because I don't remember anyone. I remember people. Listen to this, George. Someone has told me artist blueprint. They were like, before we even did this show here, obviously, because we just did this for the first time. But when we've talked about it in the past, somebody said to me, "Oh yeah, I like that artist blueprint thing you're talking about on the show." They said that to me.
Wow.
Nobody, since we started Counterpart, has said to me, "Hey, I like the show
Yeah.
Counterparts."
Right.
They say
Right.
they say I like your show, I like your podcast, I like your show is what they say, but they never
Hmm.
say Counterpart. But I think the artist blueprint, I think it really identifies with a lot of artists, and I think I think that's we're here, we've arrived finally.
And part of also, people have to understand though also that this show, we are also applying that stuff to even this show.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I'm saying? That stuff that we're talking about is also, and this is partly why you see growth. This is partly why you see the change. This is partly, John and I getting together, and what are we doing? We're creating. We're excuse me. We're thinking. We're talking about. We're communicating on these things. We're getting we're we're talking about our affinity for not only artists but the show itself, and how we feel about doing the show and all these types of things, and so all of that is being
Yeah,
applied.
we all
Same,
apply it. Yeah.
exactly, same thing. I apply to also to my show, right? So we've not only applied it as artists, as far as musicians, we've applied it to our podcast. My show when when my health show first started, it was literally just me and a little microphone, headset microphone, just talking about a couple of articles with like it was horrible sounding, okay? And after 220 episodes of this, I actually now, which I said would never do, I have guests on now. Okay, I was deathly afraid of having guests because not only, at least with the Counterpart show, I had you as kind of a buffer, so we can kind of go back and forth. But on my show, I had never had guests,
Yeah.
and I said, you know what? I said I'm gonna start having some guests on and see how I do. And if anybody knows about interviewing, there is a skill in interviewing,
Oh
right?
man.
Especially in this, which
Yeah.
I believe me, I am nowhere near where I want to be. But I said to myself, you know what? Let me try. Let me have some doctors on. Let me have some nutritionists on, some fitness people on. And I started to have that, and I've noticed every time I do it, I'm getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Where the conversation's a little more natural now, where I don't feel as like deer in the headlights. I was terrified my first guest. I didn't know what to do, but I had to overcome that.
Remember,
And
remember the, remember when you have vitamin C, um
it was pretty much like that, yeah.
yeah,
But
kind of
so
bitter.
it's that type of thing, and your brain is like John talked about. It's very easy to say, nah, I don't do guests. Because there's a lot of time, you got to do preparation, and what if they don't show up, and what if the internet's bad, and all this type of stuff. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna do it. You have to, just do it. Push yourself. And I did it. And now I feel,
Said
I don't have
yes.
a right. I don't have a guest every show, but I've had a lot of guests, and they're all on my website. And I'm like, wow. I look back at it. I'm like, I'm pretty proud of myself.
Yeah,
You
you
know, and
did.
one thing I heard the other day, which I thought was very interesting, and it kind of feeds into all this, was I think it was Joe Rogan talking about it. He talked about Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson once said, and again I'm paraphrasing because I don't know exactly the way he said, but it was something to the effect of, um, when you know you have to do something that you really don't want to do,
Oh, I've heard.
success is doing it as if you love doing it.
Right.
something
Yeah.
to that effect.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
I've
I'm
heard
like,
that.
holy cow,
Yeah.
it's so profound. It's and it makes sense,
Yeah. Success is always on the other side of things that you don't want to confront.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
it's fear. I mean, like when you
Yes.
and I first started doing this show, I remember our conversations. I remember saying, well, you're going to do more, you're going to get more comfortable, and you could probably do your own thing at some point. I
Yeah.
remember that because I
Yeah.
thought, I know George, and I know that his ability to grow as a human being um, is there because he's done it. He had health issues for most of his life that I've known him. He had health issues, and he resolved all his health issues by learning about health and nutrition and then becoming a wellness coach himself to
Right.
help others. So I knew that he had the ability to grow into something and to grow into and to learn about a certain thing if he was interested in it, right?
Yeah.
If he
Right.
wanted to do it.
Right.
Same thing with drumming, right? He,
Yeah.
he taught himself how to play drums. He taught himself how to arrange music. He arranged most of the songs from our band. A lot of them he was very intricate part of arranging songs. So all these things I knew that, and I think that it's a perfect example of how the artist blueprint works,
Right.
because it's everything that you mentioned. We can go back to it real quickly, has to do with it. You got into the habits.
Mm-hmm.
You started doing more guests, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yep.
habit. You start getting
Yep.
more understanding it more. The exercise you talk, you exercise. The affinity, you start liking it more because
Yeah.
you're confronting it. You start liking it. You start learning lessons.
Yep.
You're talking about them right today. The
Yep.
technology. Oh well, the internet might be slow. The this and
Mm-hmm.
that. Just do it.
Yep.
Who cares? Technology is going to be technology, whatever it is, right? The happiness, you were willing to have the
Right.
success. You were saying to yourself, I can do, yeah, I'm going to try some guests, we'll see how it goes, right? You were willing to have that. And you said yes, you
Mm-hmm.
said yes to yourself. You said yes to opportunities, and you didn't, and all those things really have a lot to do with the artist blueprint. And within this artist blueprint, there's also a lot of other little specific things that you can apply as well that are not just the main titles.
Right. And I just wanted to say, and because of doing that, I have befriended so many cool doctors,
Oh
so
man,
many cool nutritionists, and even supplement companies that I work with also on that end, who now want to be on the program more, who send me free stuff now, who I've developed a relationship with. I would have had none of that if I
right,
hadn't broken through that barrier and said, okay,
right,
let's do this.
right.
So that's the cool part.
It is. It's awesome, and right now, this show is George and I. It's just us two. I mean, it's just us. Working together and getting guests and doing the research and then doing the interviews and all that, and the technology part of it. Our goal is to really take this to the next level, to have it be, streamed either like on a TV network or, on a bigger podcast platform. And that part of it is really our next growth, because without doubt one of the things that Brian was talking about, Brian Pierce, when we were talking in our conversation, he was saying like, well, you have the product already.
Yeah.
The hardest part, has been already accomplished, which is, the not that we're the best interviewers, but we've had guests on this show that at the end of the show have said, that's the best interview I've ever had.
Very
Now,
true. Very true.
more than one, and a lot more than one have said, you guys are great. Keep doing
Hmm.
exactly what you're doing. You guys ask great questions, and the rapport between us, I guess because we've known each other our whole lives, is what it is. And that part of it is the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part to really be able to put that together and to have the comfortness. Is that a word? I just made up a word. The comfortnessly to be able to talkly, comfortably with each other and be able to have a product. And I
Right.
think that is really I'm actually really really happy that we were able to do that. So we have the product.
Yeah.
We've had these amazing guests that, by the way, we can have them back again. But
Yeah.
these aren't one you know fluke of a thing. These were people that we've met, that we've gained respect for, that I follow on social media, that I follow them religiously on on their platforms, and they're friends of the show.
Hmm.
And this is a really really important thing for us, to be able to be a place where an artist, um, can come and they know that they're going to get an hour of pure content that's going to be for the purpose of helping them.
Right. Right.
That's the purpose of it. And our purpose has always been that at the end of every show, we always ask our guests, if there's something that they can, some artists out there, especially during the last couple of years, because a lot of artists have been kind of stuck and afraid to come out. And I think things are loosening up now, but still, there's still some restrictions in some areas, wherever you may be. But I think that now that's kind of like loosening up, they need a place to go, and they know that this is going to be a place where you can go and you can get really good content and feel good about yourself and get out there and knock things out.
You know what? What I thought was interesting is that I was just thinking about this. That people who work with JHS talent management, artists who come on board, not only do they have you, right? They have Brian, they have me, on the health side of things, and they have just the caringness of us and running through the whole process of that's been put together. But then through this, they have kind of like a bridge to the other side, to where actually some of the artists that are where they want to go
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
So they literally have that as well. So not
yeah,
only do they have, us talking to us and talking to you and all that, but they can also turn around and say, oh, look at David Sanchez or Kenny Aronoff or Dee Dee Pfeiffer and all these people who are there. They're at that level.
hmm,
And we're getting that information from them. So they kind of have the best of both worlds if you kind of look at it that way.
they really do. And I think it's also such a great platform to build the blueprint
Yes.
and to add more to it,
Right.
because this is the blueprint will never be finished, as we realize, it'll be updated and there'll be new additions and there'll be you know, um, there'll be just so much different elements that will be added to things because there are more experiences that artists have. And whenever you have
Exactly.
somebody in, they, even though we're all on in the entertainment side of things, the challenges that we run into are always slightly different,
Hmm.
and overcoming them is always different.
Right.
So there's a lot of information that can go into this blueprint that's not, here yet. And I think also George made send me a message. George and I talk we leave each other voice messages all week long, just about the show and about other things. But um, he mentioned about how taking this on the road and with the artists that we have, because we're going to be doing showcases with our artists at JHS, and we're going to be having showcases. We're going to be having just so much wonderful things, and that this is going to be part of it. It's going to
Yep.
be the artist blueprint showcases, and and it's just a great place for George and I to also, we're artists ourselves. I mean, I play right now in a band. I was just on a film set a couple of weeks ago, and so I'm still currently out there doing my thing, and I think that's good because I think it kind of keeps me aware of what it feels like.
You're right.
You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to be in a bubble and stuff. I want to know. I want to be out there in the front lines. Getting heckled, and but be out there in the front lines, like really doing it. And getting it done. Just to have more experience to be able to help people more.
Absolutely, absolutely. Every time you go out and play, it's a whole different experience. You learn something new. Every gig is a whole new lesson, right?
Yeah,
How many gigs did we do where we walked out of there, we were like, wow, it's a whole new thing.
yeah, yeah. And I mentioned Pete Holmes earlier when he was making the joke about New Year's, but he also said something that was really interesting on another clip, and it was basically about you know how wonderful being in the present moment is
Hmm.
too.
Yes.
Instead of being in, like, we're focusing on the holidays and our attention goes to that. Well, how about this beautiful sunset? How about
Yeah.
a laugh from your children? How about making that phone call to someone you haven't spoken to in a while that you miss? There's just so many other ways that we could be experiencing life than what was put here for us to experience.
Correct. Correct.
And a lot of what was put here to experience. This is why the artist is so revered and why the artist is so followed, because they're putting things that were not here.
Right.
Like Thanksgiving is here already, right? We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving every year, and it's going to be the same kind of thing, and the turkey jokes and everything's going to be happening. That was put here. That was there when I was born. That was there when you were born. That was there, 100 years ago. It was there, and people were doing kind of the same kind of thing. But an artist wakes up in the morning and creates something that was never there.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. You're right. And keep
that's
in
the
mind,
exciting part.
it's not just, and people have to understand that it's not just that you have to create something brand new. Creation can also be adding on to what you've already built. Okay.
That's true.
Even if it's like, to me, if I'm practicing, for example, let's just say I go down and I practice my drums and I I create a new rhythm, or I learn a new rhythm. I'm adding that on to
Right.
everything I've experienced in the last
New
35 years.
to that. Yeah. Exactly. Same thing when I'm playing. I'm
Right.
playing guitar. I'll hear something else and I'll do something new. And I'm like, oh, I've never done that before. Where there's a new thing.
Yeah.
I'm still playing my normal runs and scales, but
Right.
here's a new run. And
Right.
that it's new.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting part. And I think that what with the artist blueprint is, we want to put a blueprint in place, but we also don't want to make it stale.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want it to be, this isn't something that you say, well, this is how it's done
Right.
and that is it.
Right.
Because that's how you make scrambled eggs, right? And it's like, you can make scrambled eggs with a fork, a spoon. You can make it a lot of different ways. You could actually just not even, you could just shake the pan. I don't know. You could do a lot of different things. You know what I mean? It's not, you don't have to get so significant
Right.
on like, this is how it is. But this blueprint is going to contain, my hopes is that it's going to contain thousands and thousands of artists that have been successful and that will add their success story to it.
Yes.
And within that, it'll be this extended blueprint that will contain thousands and thousands and thousands of stories, of journeys, of failures and how they overcame that failure. And it's going to be a continuous thing. We were saying we wanted to do a one page. Think about how limited we were.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is how much now it's at 82 pages. But now I'm thinking, God, this is going to be thousands of pages, because if you write one and I write one, they're two completely different blueprints.
You're right.
And every artist is going to bring in their own different viewpoint on it. So I think that's a wonderful way of looking at it, um, moving forward. And within JHS talent, one of the things that we always talk about is we say you are the magic, and I say that I talk to artists all the time now, especially. I just had a meeting today with a young lady singer, incredible singer, and I'd love to work with her. And but I was telling her what I'm telling the audience now about the responsibility of an artist and how we are. If you're given a talent, a God-given gift to share to the world, and you decide that you don't want to do that, or maybe you think it's too hard, or you're getting suppressed by someone, well, you got to find a way around that, man. You got to find a way, because you know God don't make no mistakes. He gave you something to put out there. You better get that out there, man. It's like it's that important. And I was selling this to her, and she started literally weeping, because it felt like maybe she wasn't being validated enough, and I think artists aren't validated as much as they should be. I think people just take artists for granted. They just turn on music on the radio, and they just listen to the radio, and they're talking. You see them, and it's just part of their life, which is okay. It's fine. You're listening to music and everything, but the work that went into that record, that the producer, the writer, the players, and everything. It's the engineers. It takes a lot to put a song out there, you know. And I think when you don't validate them, I think it really hurts. And that was a wonderful thing. And I remember saying, you know, you are the magic, you know,
Yeah.
and it brings tears. And it's not the first time that I've had this conversation where tears come out. And you know, it's important.
People always have to remember, you know, one thing that I've thought about for many many years. The reason why the artists, we all do, everybody has the ability to create in general, is because we were given that ability by the greatest creator.
Right. I
Okay,
say that all the time.
right.
Yeah.
The biggest artist there ever was. Now you can call it whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, whoever created all this is the biggest artist ever, right?
One.
And we are just following that, and we
Correct.
can create also, you know, as beings.
Correct.
So just keep that in mind at the end
Yeah.
of the day when you're looking at it just as an overall picture.
Yeah. 100%. I was driving across a bridge there. It comes to our house here, and there's a beautiful lake. You know, it's literally a bridge over a lake. It's amazing. It's my route to get home. It's
Hmm.
unbelievable. I'm crossing this bridge, and it's just nothing but mountains and foliage. You know, it's all changing now, right? It's the fall and stuff. And I'm crossing this bridge. It is just a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It is a
Yep.
masterpiece created by the creator, you know.
Yep.
And to me it's like, yes, that's what we're doing. We're creating that, we're adding to that, like you said earlier. We're
Exactly.
adding to this already creation, you know. And the artist blueprint is definitely that. It's going to add beauty to the world and add beauty to what we're going to become as a planet, as a universe, or whatever you want to look at it. It's important to really look at it that way. I also think that there's a lot of artists that don't think this way because I think they feel that they're going to be ridiculed, or
Hmm.
they're going to be looked upon as strange or something, you know. And because it I get cheesy all the time, you know what I mean? I get cheesy. If anybody follows my social media, you know, in my stories, I'll either be making a fool of myself by being a you know, telling a joke or saying doing something, or I'm being cheesy,
Right.
you know. And I don't care, because in my mind it's not cheesy. It's just in the minds of others that it's
Hmm.
cheesy. So in my mind is sincere. I'm being very sincere, and I'm expressing myself and the love that I have for people and for artists and for my family and my friends, and all the things that I'm doing. And that can never be taken away from me, not at this stage of my life, you
Right.
know. So for me, it's like when I hear someone think, oh boy, there he is, you know, I feel my heart hurts for them,
Hmm.
because they're
Hmm.
hiding.
Yeah.
They're hiding behind something.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Sure.
So
You know, we all, you know, we've all gone through it. We all go through it, you know. And again, that's part of that perseverance part of it, where, you know, yeah, there may be people that invalidate. There may be people that say whatever it is. You know, it could be friends, it could be family. We've talked about that last week, big time, right?
yeah, big time. Yeah.
You know, but yet here we are, still creating. Here we are, still artists. Here we are, still doing what we need to do. And you
And
know,
help.
yeah. I mean, some of the greatest creators on the planet, from Elon Musk to all these guys. All these guys were at one point ridiculed and whatever, and they created some of the greatest things ever on this planet.
100%.
So you know, so think about that.
And one of the things I wanted to actually, let me see if I can find it real quickly here, because I do want to validate the actual name of the person, so I'm not just like sharing. John Maxwell, you know John Maxwell.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I was watching one of his talks, and he was talking about, and this will be our last step because we're over the hour now. But if you're still hanging out here, thank you. I appreciate it. We love you. But he was talking about two things that I thought were really interesting. He mentioned selfishness,
Hmm.
and he was talking about significance.
Right.
You know, and selfishness is about me, significance is about others, right?
Right.
Serving
Right.
others. And he said he's never met someone that was selfish that's been happy. Billionaires, he knows billionaires that it's about them.
Yeah.
They work on their money, they work on their business, they work on their thing, but they do nothing for anyone else. They're miserable. He
Yeah.
said he's never met someone of significance that was sad. He goes, if you show me someone whose life is for others, I'll show you someone who's always happy.
Look
Someone
at
who's
that.
happy.
Look at
And
that.
it's always about others,
Yeah.
you know. And another clip of Robin Williams, the great Robin Williams, who, we love and unfortunately is no longer with us, tragically. Um, he said in an interview, he goes, what he learned the most about others. He said it's about others. He goes, once you get rid of that ego, and you get the idea, and that all goes because egos and money and fame, that all goes away. But when you're serving others, that's where it is, and
Yeah.
that's what he said, and it's 100% true, and that's what the artist blueprint is about. It's about others. It's about helping others, and I look forward to many, many, many years of talking about it and building it and helping artists, and I'm excited about it. So, all right, folks, there you have it. Before we go, and together we'll win. That's what we will do that, and we want to thank you all for tuning in with us again this evening. We love you. We will see you again next week on the Artist Blueprint, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For George Batista, I am John Henry Soto. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, and as always,